If I see one more person on TikTok defending Disney and bashing Rachel Zegler...
Okay, there's something wrong with this person. She's also known as the star of Snow White.
At this point, they might as well add an 8th dwarf named Bitey, because I'm going to start biting people's ankles. Anyway, stop being awful towards actors.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again, because this woman is a pig.
For asking, for demanding fair residuals during an actor's strike. I'm gonna...
She didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. According to multiple eyewitnesses, she spit. And that was the moment everything changed.
Girl power, girl boss. Everyone needs to be a strong, independent woman that don't need no man. And everybody is tired of that. Everybody is sick of that. And everybody is ganging up on Rachel. She dealt with some really, really severe backlash, which I can kind of understand. But me personally, I'm not under the impression that she wasn't maybe coached to make this happen, to create some type of a draw for the movie. Because this is the narrative that Disney particularly is trying to push.
Tensions were already at a breaking point on the Evita set. Cast members had been whispering for days about Rachel Zegler's unpredictable behavior, the outbursts, the heated arguments, the breakdowns when rehearsals ran late. But no one expected what came next. During a chaotic rehearsal already spiraling out of control, Rachel allegedly exploded in a screaming match with a fellow cast member. And then, in front of a shocked room full of people, she reportedly leaned forward and spit in their direction.
But it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
It didn't matter whether it landed. It didn't matter if it was just a reckless, emotional outburst. That single moment shattered a boundary no one in Hollywood overlooks. One backstage witness put it bluntly. It was like watching someone snap in real time. Everyone froze. Another admitted they thought it was some kind of sick joke, until security arrived. By the time Rachel stormed off set, the co-star she clashed with looked visibly shaken, stunned into silence. And just like that, what had been whispered in corners exploded into headlines, a scandal too big, too raw, and too serious for the industry to ignore.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
But how did it come to this? What spiraled Rachel from promising rising star to a full-blown public meltdown? And more importantly, was this the moment that burned her comeback to the ground? Because the instant she allegedly spit, something shifted. It wasn't just a slip-up. It felt like a career hitting self-destruct in real time. In an industry built on image, control, and reputation, that split-second choice may have just sealed her fate.
Honestly, girl boss narratives suck. They are either overpowered, poorly written, forced down the audience's throat, and it just looks like I'm staring at TikTok modern women posts that always talk about men are trash, men are this, men are that. They finally got the opportunity to do that, especially with this buffoon right here. I still don't know why she's still alive. And before you start saying I'm sexist, here are some well-written female characters. This woman right here is way better. So is she. And her too. Man, I love this girl, honestly. She couldn't fit in the background, but Debbie is definitely number one.
It wasn't always like this. Not too long ago, Rachel Zegler was Hollywood's golden girl, the industry's newest obsession. Handpicked by Steven Spielberg himself to star in West Side Story, she wasn't just discovered, she was anointed. The press adored her, award shows welcomed her with open arms, and she was fast-tracked into the Disney machine to take on one of the most iconic roles ever, Snow White. She was young, sharp, undeniably talented, a fresh face with a voice that could carry a generation. But success didn't arrive slowly. It came like a wave, and Rachel didn't just step into the spotlight. She ran into it at full speed.
We are an ensemble. We couldn't have done any of this without any of us doing the best work we've ever done, from the beginners to the veterans. And for a beginner, Rachel, oh my God. You have an old soul. You are surrounded by some of the greatest actors who are floating around watching you and instilling you with the virtues of a great actress. And you prove that as the greatest Maria I have ever witnessed, ever.
Almost overnight, the narrative flipped. Rachel's interviews started going viral, but not for the reasons her team had hoped. Her offhand remarks about the original Snow White being weird, outdated, and built on archaic values struck a nerve. What was meant to sound progressive came off as dismissive, even condescending. Instead of seeing a modern, empowered princess, audiences saw someone mocking the very legacy she was hired to uphold. The backlash was instant and relentless. Disney initially stood by her, hoping the storm would pass. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming, and their support wouldn't last forever.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah. Weird.
Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
When the Snow White remake tanked in test screenings and the public backlash reached a boiling point, Disney did what Disney does best: damage control. Marketing went quiet. Release dates were pushed without explanation. And then, in a move that felt less like strategy and more like surrender, the film was quietly scrubbed from Disney+. No trailers, no promos, not even a digital release. Fans online called it a cover-up. Industry insiders labeled it corporate panic. But Rachel? She called it a misunderstanding in a vague, now-deleted post. And just like that, the star Disney once championed was left twisting in the wind.
Rachel Zegler is reportedly struggling to get hired. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be in Paddington 3, however she was dropped from that movie a few weeks ago, and they said that they dropped her because of the actors' strike. However, there are numerous actors in Paddington 3 that are a part of SAG, yet they're still able to film in the movie. So people are speculating that it might be because of another reason, and most likely is because of the Snow White backlash, and studios not wanting to hire her given the fact that it might result in their movie not making a whole lot of money at the box office. She also voiced the lead character of an upcoming cartoon that was meant to be part of Apple TV. However, Apple dropped the cartoon film. However, it was picked up by Netflix, but people are wondering why Apple dropped it in the first place, and people once again are saying it's because of this Snow White backlash and them not wanting the movie to suffer because of her backlash.
Suddenly, the girl who was once hailed as Disney's next big thing couldn't even secure a proper release window. The whispers started getting louder. Industry chatter began shifting from curiosity to concern. Was Rachel Zegler becoming a liability? That's when Evita entered the picture. It wasn't just another job, it was her supposed redemption arc, a prestigious live theater role, a high-pressure production, a shot at showing Hollywood and the public that she could still lead, still command a stage, still rise from the ashes. But what unfolded behind those closed doors didn't just rival the Snow White disaster. It eclipsed it. Because Evita didn't stumble. It didn't fizzle. It imploded. And Rachel, she didn't just get caught in the fire. Some say she struck the match herself.
Just me being taken out of context and stuff, which is fine. That's what I signed up for, isn't it? But I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have when I say that this has been the biggest adjustment of my life. Like understanding the way my life operates now, being who I am, and the things that I've been so fortunate to make. It comes with so much ground that I never thought I would be able to cover, and that people think I'm doing poorly, and other people think I'm doing gracefully, and I don't think I'm doing it at all.
The whispers started early, before a single full rehearsal even hit the schedule. From the moment Rachel Zegler joined the Evita cast, something felt off. Crew members were already on edge, and the backstage buzz was cautious. People who had worked with Rachel before started warning others in hushed tones. They called her difficult, emotional, controlling, always on, even when the cameras weren't. Like she couldn't turn off the performance, even backstage, even in private. At first, the production team brushed it off. Every star has their quirks, they said. But then came the mood swings, and things got harder to ignore.
It is the real beginning of my life as a young lady of America. Of America.
Cast members reportedly described rehearsals as a roller coaster. 1 minute, Rachel was radiant, joking, singing, and fully immersed in character. The next, she was storming off stage, snapping at co-stars, and accusing the ensemble of undermining her presence. One source claimed she interrupted choreography sessions mid-run to critique others' movements, even when it wasn't her scene. Another insider alleged she screamed at a castmate for stealing attention during a duet. It didn't take long for the vibe to shift. The cast began taking longer breaks, eye contact faded, rehearsals dragged, and people started avoiding her completely. One backstage employee allegedly overheard a mic'd cast member mutter, "I just want to get through this without crying today." Others were more vocal. A dancer reportedly walked off mid-scene saying, "I can't do this if she keeps making it about herself." It wasn't just ego, it was chaos. The pressure only made Rachel tighten her grip. She allegedly began demanding script changes, rewriting lines she felt didn't match her vision of Eva Peron. Some claimed she accused the director of not understanding the character, even after he calmly asked her to stick to the blocking. The environment grew so tense that even the assistant stage manager, who'd worked dozens of major productions, told friends, "This is one of the most toxic rehearsal rooms I've ever seen." But it was nothing compared to what came next. One confrontation pushed everything, and everyone, too far, leaving the cast stunned, security scrambling, and Rachel's reputation hanging by a thread. It started like any other chaotic rehearsal, delayed, tense, and barely holding together. But what happened next, no one saw coming. According to multiple anonymous insiders, Rachel was in the middle of rehearsing a heated monologue. The director had asked for one more take but reportedly gave a note to another actor in the scene instead of her. That's when it snapped. Witnesses say Rachel's demeanor changed instantly. Her body stiffened, her jaw clenched, and without warning, she turned toward the co-star who had just been praised and launched into a tirade. "You're not playing the truth," she allegedly shouted. "You're making me look weak." The room froze. Everyone thought it would stop there, but it didn't. As the argument escalated, voices got louder. The director tried to step in. Other cast members looked away. Then, during a brief pause, one moment sent shockwaves through the room. Rachel allegedly spit in the direction of her co-star. Not a joke, not a fake gesture. It was, in the words of one backstage tech, a full spit, like she didn't care who saw. The co-star recoiled immediately. Someone yelled, "Did she just spit on him?" Another voice shouted, "Get security!" The room erupted. The assistant, stage manager, reportedly ran onto the floor. Several cast members backed away, some leaving the room entirely. A security team member, already stationed nearby due to past outbursts, stepped in and escorted Rachel out of the rehearsal hall. One crew member later said, "That wasn't a diva moment, that was a breakdown. She completely lost control." Another insider claimed the co-star involved was shaking, not because of the spit, but because of how aggressive and personal the outburst had felt. Within an hour, word had spread through the entire production. Phones lit up, DMs flew. By that evening, rumors were already hitting industry forums, with one anonymous post simply reading, "Zegler spit on someone. It's over." Whether intentional or emotional, the act became symbolic. It wasn't just a meltdown. It was the moment Rachel physically crossed a line in front of the very people she needed to win back. The fallout was immediate and brutal. The rehearsal ended, but the damage didn't. Within minutes of the alleged spitting incident, the production team called an emergency closed-door meeting. According to one insider, the energy in the room was panic level. No one knew what to do, but everyone agreed something had to be done. Several cast members reportedly refused to return to rehearsal if Rachel remained involved. One ensemble performer, allegedly said, "If that's not grounds for removal, what is?" Another said they'd never felt so unsafe in a professional setting. Behind the scenes, producers scrambled. Firing the lead mid-rehearsal would be a PR disaster, but keeping her in risked sparking a full mutiny. According to a leaked email, the production was quietly weighing internal options for a pause. Many took it as a veiled hint they were preparing to shut things down altogether. Some cast members threatened to walk off, while others quietly packed up and left early without notice. By the next morning, the Evita meltdown was already trending on niche Broadway forums and Reddit gossip threads. Fan accounts speculated wildly. Was she fired? Suspended? Was the show dead? No one had official answers, but one thing was clear. Rachel had become the problem no one could ignore. One industry source put it bluntly, "She's not the star anymore, she's the liability." A rumored casting call briefly appeared online, seeking a last-minute lead with strong vocals and emotional maturity. It vanished within hours, but the message was clear. They were prepping a backup. Even if Rachel stayed, the respect was gone. 1. Tech crew member said the atmosphere shifted permanently. She walked in the next day like nothing happened, but no one looked her in the eye. The production didn't shut down yet, but morale hit rock bottom. Crew members whispered about lawyers, dancers stopped warming up near her, and everyone was just waiting for her to quit, for producers to pull the plug, for someone, anyone, to say what they were all thinking. This cannot go on. But instead of a formal statement, Rachel gave them something else, a cryptic Instagram story. Silence. That was Rachel's first move. No apology, no denial, no public comment, just radio silence. And in the world of celebrity scandals, silence screams. Her management team reportedly went into lockdown mode, emails unanswered, press requests ignored. For days, fans refreshed her socials, searching for a single word. Nothing came. Then, without warning, a post appeared. An Instagram story, one photo, no caption, just a blurry close-up selfie of Rachel, eyes red, face partially turned, and the words scribbled in white font at the bottom. Everyone has a breaking point. That was it. No context, no apology, just a vague, emotionally charged statement that sent the internet into a frenzy. Was it a confession? A justification? A cry for help? Theories exploded online. Some fans interpreted it as vulnerability. Others saw it as manipulation, playing the victim in a mess she allegedly created. One viral tweet read, "She spit on someone and now we're supposed to feel bad for her." Another fan commented, "That's not accountability. That's PR damage disguised as poetry." Even worse, her silence gave others the chance to control the narrative. The alleged victim never spoke publicly, but third-hand stories flooded TikTok and Reddit. Unverified DMs, anonymous tips, grainy rehearsal footage with dramatic captions. Everyone suddenly had a friend in the cast, and every post piled on more pressure. Meanwhile, major media outlets started circling. Entertainment blogs ran headlines like, "Did Rachel Zegler go too far this time?" Sources say the Evita cast is done with Zegler behind the scenes. Her agents reportedly begged her to release a statement, but Rachel stayed quiet. No interviews, no explanations, only more cryptic posts. At one point, she shared a black screen with the words, "Be careful who you trust. Not everyone wants you to heal." The damage control strategy wasn't working. If anything, it was making things worse. Fans grew impatient. Industry eyes watched closely. And for someone already on thin ice after the Snow White controversy, this wasn't just another scandal. It was a career crisis. In Hollywood, you only get so many second chances. Hollywood has a short memory for success, but a long one for scandal. And after the alleged spitting incident, insiders reveal Rachel Zegler's name has vanished from casting shortlists and now only appears on warning lists. One studio executive, speaking off the record, said, "No one wants to deal with that level of volatility. The talent isn't worth the risk anymore." That's the harsh truth of the business. You can win awards and star in blockbusters, but once your name becomes synonymous with chaos, you're radioactive. And that's exactly what Rachel Zegler has become. Casting directors who once fought to audition her are now reconsidering. Her agency is rumored to be conducting an internal review of their relationship with her. Meanwhile, Disney, once her biggest backer, has remained silent since quietly wiping Snow White from its Disney Plus rollout. Multiple insiders claim she's been cut from upcoming campaigns. Brand deals have gone cold, with one fashion sponsor allegedly pulling out just days after the Evita scandal broke. Here's where it gets darker. Word on the street is that other actors, including former co-stars, have started turning down projects if Rachel is attached. Not because of a single incident, but because of a growing pattern. The Snow White backlash, the red carpet rants, the Evita meltdown. Allegedly, one top-tier actor told a producer, "I'm not working with her. I value my sanity." Even her defenders are going quiet. No public support, no open statements, just a rising wall of silence. And in Hollywood, silence speaks volumes. The perception now is that Rachel Zegler isn't just controversial. She's unpredictable and difficult. In an era where optics matter more than ever, unpredictability is a deal breaker. Studios don't want headlines, they want harmony. Right now, Rachel Zegler brings anything but that. Her career isn't officially over yet, but insiders agree she's entered a new category: career risk. And for a young actress once hailed as the future of Hollywood, that might be the harshest role of all. But one question still lingers. Was this really just a meltdown, or is something deeper going on? Everyone has a bad day, a rough rehearsal, a moment they regret. But not everyone does it in front of a full cast, production team, and a world of cameras ready to dissect every move. For Rachel Zegler, this wasn't a simple slip-up, a PR blunder, or a misunderstood tweet. It was a physical, visible, unforgettable act, something you can't undo no matter how many Instagram stories you post afterward. Because once the word spit enters the conversation, the narrative changes. You're no longer the misunderstood artist or the rising star, you become the problem. And whether the incident was emotional, impulsive, or taken out of context, the result is the same. Trust shattered, respect lost, and opportunities vanishing. In real time, theaters grow quiet, agents become cautious, co-stars walk away. Rachel Zegler may still be incredibly talented, but in an industry built on image, reputation isn't just important, it's everything. And in a single moment, she may have thrown hers away. So, where does she go from here? Does she lay low and wait for the storm to pass, take accountability, or double down, blame the system, and retreat into the same silence that started this fallout? Because no matter what happens next, one thing is certain. The moment she allegedly spit, the moment she crossed that line became the one she'll never be able to take back. And in Hollywood, that might be all anyone remembers.